Step away for just a moment. Well, we are going to go ahead and get started. We are more than 90% of those that registered to attend today. If everyone can do me a huge favor, except for Robert Romines, is mute your screens, please, so that we can focus on what all he has to say. We really do appreciate you taking time out of your day to listen to Dr. Romines. And other than that, I think we're just going to go ahead and give you the floor because I'm sure you have plenty to say.
Well, I don't know what makes you think that, but no, yeah, I do. I wanted to jotted down some notes and wanted to run down or through the last 3 weeks, and hopefully at the end they'll have the opportunity to ask questions if they have any at this point. But just for going back to spring break, administrators spent a lot of time here at ASC working on developing our plan. We really had an understanding or a belief that the 2 weeks after spring break, we had a pretty good understanding that this was going to continue on through the rest of the school year. And I'm going to be really honest with you, that week of spring break and working through all of those details was pretty overwhelming. And we determined early on that we were going to take all of this in chunks. And so the 2 weeks after spring break was our first chunk. Now April is our second chunk, and May will be our third chunk. Summer will be our fourth chunk, and we're not even going to talk about what August looks like because that gets to be a bit overwhelming based on the several scenarios that we've been faced with from the State Department of Education. Spent a lot of time over spring break developing our plan. We really didn't have to start doing that over spring break. We had the week after spring break to begin that process, but we really wanted to get a jump start on that, and I'm glad we did. We've got, obviously have almost 25,000 students that we need to serve, and as far as digital learning and that type of thing, we're not 100% there yet. So we had to have a blended model, meaning you've heard a lot of people passing out packets, and we also have online and that type of thing. So we started a survey or sent a survey out to our families, and believe it or not, devices now, the iPhone and those types of things are compatible with all of the, I say all of, most of the systems that we run. So most of our secondary students either have laptops or computers or some type of a device in their home. So that made it a little bit easier for our secondary students. 2 weeks after spring break is those 2 weeks that everybody was supposed to not be working and that type of thing. Several of us continued to work. The curriculum team, teachers, administrators, really started to hone in on our distance learning for secondary and elementary. And I'm sure many of you are aware that packets have been produced and sent out, and we determined the best way and the safest way to get those out, especially at the elementary level, was teachers would produce the packets. And of course, we did all of that following CDC guidelines and developing those packets and getting those ready. I'd say probably 95% of our elementary teachers, when they got their packets ready, they packaged those in their cars and they did porch deliveries, and got just a little bit of pushback at the beginning of that due to safety and that type of thing. But of course, we put some really strict guidelines on our teachers as they started that delivery process, and the end result of that, number one, is meeting the needs of our community and getting things to them. But if I heard one, I heard hundreds of stories in regards to teachers walking up to porches and families being on the other side of the door and having messages for their teachers on the door, and those types of things, and much needed for our staff. Because again, as I mentioned earlier, this has been really a difficult thing for our staff members to end their school year as they knew it at that point in time, and pick up this new normal. And of course, they're used to seeing their students on a daily basis, and So that ended up being a pretty cool thing. Uh, Secondary, we've got a really blended model regarding packets and or internet based instruction and that type of thing. So uh, our intent in developing both of those products was to, number one, finish this year strong. As you all know, several years ago, we had to end our school year a few days early, on May of 13 with a tornado. This is very different in the fact that we had to end our year about 8 weeks early. And I say end it as we know it, and having our students in front of us and that type of thing. So several goals that we had. Number one, we wanted our students to finish strong. We had to take seniors most definitely into consideration, making sure that they finish strong with their grades and their academic piece and those types of things. We've had to navigate through the athletic piece with NCAA rules and scholarships and Oklahoma Promise. And there's just a lot of moving parts. We'd get one decision made and moving forward, and then 15 other problems would creep up. So that's what it's been about the last 2 or 3 weeks. And we really feel like we've got a great handle on all of the things in regards to our students and them moving forward. Uh, Teacher responsibilities over the next 6 weeks. Let me back up. 6 weeks. We had the option of ending the school year on between the dates of May 8th and May 15th from the State Board of Education. We decided as an administration that our last day would be the 15th. Several reasons for that. Number one, we didn't want to, I hate to say, take the easy way out, but we didn't want to finish on that first date that we were given, and we wanted to continue to keep our students engaged. And please understand that we realize that the academic piece is not what it would have been if they were in the classrooms with us, but we've got a lot of relationships that we still need to foster and continue on, and we wanted to be able to do that as long as we possibly could. There's obviously a mental health component to this. So teachers' responsibilities are to be in contact via Zoom, like what we're doing now, or phone call and that type of thing. That's elementary through secondary. There's going to be a lot of responsibility in regards to keeping having those conversations with our parents, not necessarily to talk about academics and what reading level this one's on or what math level this one's on. Those surely are things that they will discuss, but most important is, number one, how's your student doing? How are you doing? Our parents aren't used to this. They're not used to sitting down and doing the work with their students. That's our job. And so there's going to be a lot of conversation going on between our staff and our students over the next 6 weeks. Counselors have a really big responsibility in this regard. Number one, as you all know, we dealt with some the tragedy at Moore High School at the beginning of February, and so we were very, very cautious and careful. We've continued on with counseling with the students and our staff at Moore High School. That piece was very important to us that would continue, and so we've been able to do that with our students and our staff. But even bigger than that, we've got students obviously at every one of our elementaries and our junior highs and high schools. Even though they didn't particularly deal with that tragedy, they've got their own situations and issues that they've been dealing with over this past year, and counselors have been individual counselors at the sites have been working with those students. So that opportunity has also been made available, and our counselors have a lot of requirements placed on them in regards to having the conversations with those students and their families. And so that continues to be an ongoing approach. One of the things that if you all, most of you either have had students in the district or currently have students in the district, there are all kinds of resources available on our website, and our website has been redesigned in regards to the distance learning so that families can click and have all the information in front of them. And so very proud of the technology and the instructional technology piece that has gone in regards to that. And they've done a really, really good job. Hopefully you guys have been following us on social media. We are doing our dead level best to produce all of the great things. And there are great things going on, even with this new normal across our school district and our community. We've got food services. We call it the grab and go breakfast and lunch at 16 of our sites. And I think we're about 50,000 meals since March 23rd that we have served to our families. And so that's been a huge benefit and a need, especially, and I think that number will continue to grow and grow rapidly as individuals. We continue to hear stories of people being laid off or furloughed and that type of thing. And so I anticipate those numbers continuing to grow.
Dr. Romines,
Yes, go ahead.
in regards to the locations that you have of the schools, is that going to increase the number of schools that are giving out lunches?
Great question. One of the reasons why the 16 sites that were selected is because they are Title I sites. They have at least 50% free and reduced lunch. And last week, the feds, USDA, gave us the waiver or the opportunity to open that up to all sites. And we are not, at this point, as far as staffing and that type of thing, I don't know that we're going to be able to open up any other sites. But that is up for discussion, and still we're having tabletop discussions on what that looks like. If we can, we will. But again, it doesn't have to do with money from the government. They're taking care of all of that. It's more of a staffing concern. And when I say staffing concern, we've got several of our child nutrition workers that are 65 and older and or have health issues, whether it be asthmatic or respiratory. Some that are on chemotherapy or undergoing chemotherapy and treatments, and we are not obviously allowing them to work. We want them to follow the orders that have been given, and we want them to follow those orders too. And so staffing could become an issue on that. So that's one of the reasons why we have not pulled that or put that in front at our sites at this point that are not 50% or less free and reduced lunch. Does that answer that question?
It did. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome. One of the things that we're really focused on, of course, the virtual learning, we will continue to be focused on and navigate through issues and problems that come up in that regard. But now, as I mentioned, the chunks earlier, we are now focused on our virtual celebrations and looking at sixth grade recognitions, scholarship nights, award nights, National Honor Society induction, graduation. Those are rites of passages for our students, and that piece has been really, really difficult for me and administrators to wrap our minds around. One of my favorite things of the entire school year is graduation. And we have not canceled our graduation, but we are going to develop Plan B, just based on some of the things that we're hearing in regards to the social distancing and continuing to keep those numbers at 10 or below. And if any of you all have ever attended one of our graduations, it's nowhere 10 or below. We have thousands that attend those, and again, so we're gonna have to handle that stuff very, very carefully. We've got a lot of seniors that are very, very disappointed. We have a lot of parents that are very disappointed. And fortunately, 95% of them understand that they're, to some extent, our hands are tied in what we're going to do and moving forward. I will tell you, as a dad of two daughters, my oldest one obviously walked across the stage, and she walked across it well. If my youngest one were a senior this year, I would be 100% devastated that she would not be able to participate in the things that, in the traditions of Westmore High School. And of course, Moore High School and Southmore High School are very much the same way. And so we're going to have to navigate through that very carefully and do the best we can. We want our seniors to finish strong, and I focus more on the seniors because the other students will have our our chance to take care of them in future months and years. But there's been some conversation in regards to postponing graduation, uh, and with over 1,600 seniors across the three high schools, postponing sounds like a pretty easy answer. But the fact of the matter is, we have a lot of students that head off to the military right after graduation. We have a lot of students that travel over the summer. And so, no matter what we do, regardless of postponing or virtual, if we have to get away from our normal setting, we're going to affect students, and that piece has been difficult for all of us. So we're going to do our dead level best. If we have to develop Plan B on all the things mentioned earlier, we're going to do our dead level best to honor our seniors and our sixth graders and our students with awards and those types of things, because that's typically the entire month of May is designated across the district for all of those things. So we're carefully monitoring and navigating through that. Uh, Hopefully, again, as I mentioned earlier, you guys are following us on social media. If you're not, please do. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Teacher parades that have been going on across our school district, and teachers getting in front of our students in their neighborhoods and those types of things. The staff videos that our staffs are putting out to our students. All of the different things that you see on social media, again, is not something that we as administrators have required our staffs to do. It's something that they feel compelled or led to do. That's one way that they can keep those relationships ongoing. And again, as mentioned earlier, it's all about the relationships. And if you just sit back and spend a few minutes watching some of the Facebook posts and the interaction between our kids from pre-K all the way to seniors and our staff, it's been uh, overwhelming in a good way to see all of those things happen. So uh, great things happening in the school district. It's different and it's new, but I have to tell you, I talked to Joy Hoffmeister, the state superintendent, yesterday, and she asked how things were going. And I explained to her it's a little bit different here in this community, only because we've been through a lot, and uh, there has not been any time that we've had to ask for people to rise and do what they've needed to do. That's just what this community is known for, and that's not a club that I would ask anybody or invite anybody to be a part of. But the fact of the matter is, we're used to rising to the challenge and doing what we need to do. One of the things, and I failed to mention this a couple of weeks ago, the call was made by our local hospitals and that type of thing in regards to sanitizer and Clorox wipes and those types of things. And we put out the call to our principals, and we were able to deliver. Uh, oh gosh, I can't even count the amount of bottles of hand sanitizer and Clorox wipes that we were able to provide to some of our clinics locally, and of course Children's Hospital, who it's very near and dear just to my heart, just simply number one because of all the things that they do, but most recently that's the group that took care of our kids from Moore High School. So that was a great thing to be able to give back to them and do for them. And then Norman Regional and Norman Regional Moore, we were able to help them out too. And of course, those are huge community partners and have always bent over backwards for us. And for the first time in a long time, Moore Public Schools in this community was able to finally give back and experience that. So that was obviously a great feeling. So that's really all I have in regards to kind of where we've been and where we're headed. So I'm gonna open it up to you all for questions if you all have any.
One of the questions that came across was in regards to the food service and kind of the limitations that you have in place. Would you be open to volunteers that had food handlers licenses to maybe broaden that if the time?
If the time, absolutely. There's been a ton of people from the foundation to PTA and to community members that just they keep continuing to ask, how do we help? and that type of thing. So absolutely, if we end up opening additional sites, we'll put the call out to our community to step in and help. As of right now, we are staffed and staffed pretty well. So at this point, we're good.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions? You are more than welcome to unmute yourself. Just do us a big favor, and if you hear someone else talking, give them a second to finish. I see Mark. Did you unmute, Mark?
I'm unmuted.
You got a question?
I don't have any questions.
Oh, okay.
No. I've got all kinds of
question.
faith in Dr. Romines. He's got it under control.
All right.
Thank you. Here's the deal. I've got some really, really great people that surround me. They're strong and they're smart and they're resilient, and they make me look really, really good. And I couldn't do it without them. And it's the team that's been, for the most part, it's the team that's been with me since 2013. And they're great. They're great at what they do, and I couldn't do it without them.
And Robert, I know that that's true, and I know you've got a good group of people, but I'm just going to tell you, I'm getting calls, and people cannot say enough about our school system and about the leadership that we have with that. I've gotten probably 2 or 3 calls from chamber people letting me know that. So it goes a long ways, and you're very humble, but it takes your direction to get people where they need to be. And I know you've got great help to get you there, but we thank you for that.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
So Robert, I got a question. Since we're here on a chamber call, are there some other gaps that you guys are feeling that representatives from, whether it's the library or the chamber or the hospitals, that we can help fill in some of those gaps somehow?
I'm going to be honest with you. At this point, our gaps, the gaps are they're slowly but surely coming together. And so I don't want to say it today. We're good. Now that all can change on a dime. This stuff changes every single day in regards to what we're faced with, and that type of thing. And libraries are still shut down. Is that correct?
That's correct, but we're still working off site. So
okay, great. That's good to know. I'd assume that you guys were probably working from home or limited resources from offices, but absolutely, if there's a need there, we'll let you guys know. Here's what would be really great if y'all could open your doors, and I understand why you can't. Of course we can't, and so our libraries are at a standstill, and that's been a piece that's been very difficult too. So we've got a lot of online resources where we're trying to capitalize on books and that type of thing. But who would have ever thought that people would be begging to get into our doors to check out books and or the library system? That's a great thing. I just have never heard that before.
right.
Sometimes I've learned that, and I think people across the state have learned that sometimes we take the services that are provided for granted. And when all of the dust settles, my hope is that when people come back, they remember, the things that they did take for granted, they don't have access to at this point. But we love our library systems. We couldn't do it without you guys.
Yeah.
Robert, this is Aiden. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to say thank you so much for all of the leadership. Certainly from a library perspective, we have been able to use all of the plastic laminate that was dropped off to Norman Regional.
Good.
We have all of our 3D printers across the system working, and we built the fields for the hospital that was able to use them for, and then we also have a team of sewers across the system that are making masks, responding to the call from Norman Regional. So that has just been a wonderful partnership. But as a parent of a 6th grader, I have certainly experienced all of the teacher support, and the curriculum guidance and all of that has been outstanding. And as a wife of a teacher who is also in your school district, and he is, working every day since spring break to get that curriculum online, I will say it's been interesting being married to a band director at home.
I bet so.
we've had a lot of shared work experiences, but either way, I just wanted to say how much I appreciate the leadership on all levels and how smoothly it has gone, the transition. Yes, there will always be people who don't quite get it, don't quite understand, and those who weren't necessarily in the district during the 2013 time when we had to close early. But having gone through both of those, I just wanted to say thank you again for all of that. And I'm grateful for the relationships that we have with our teachers. We've, like Chris mentioned, the doors are closed, but we've increased our phone answering hours 9 to 9. We've increased our contact us. You can contact and chat with library staff. And we have gone to online registration for free library cards. So anyone that lives in our area that doesn't already have one, they can get a library card for free still. They don't have to wait for the library to open. And I just know we've been helping a lot with different teachers and students, making sure they have cards so they can still access all those digital resources. So it's been a wonderful partnership. I just want to say thank you.
You're very welcome. And those of you that might not have understood the whole, do y'all all remember the old overhead projectors that were in the classrooms and that type of thing, and the plastic sleeves that people were able to write on? What Aiden is talking about there is Norman Regional had asked if we had any of those stockpiled anywhere. Of course, my original answer was no. We pretty much we're smart board and that type of thing. Very few overheads. And Michelle McNair said, "Oh, our elementary ed assistant soup director, she said, trust me, their teachers have that stuff hoarded." So we asked for that stuff, and we got a ton of that stuff delivered back to us. And what Aiden was talking about was they're taking those plastic covers and they're making shields for our nurses and our doctors. So Aiden, I didn't know that you guys had stepped in and started helping with that, but that's what that was for. And we were able to produce and provide a ton of those for Norman Regional. So that was a great thing.
Yeah, we had a social media post about that. And yesterday our marketing person said that had been viewed over 14,000 times.
Good.
So
that's awesome.
It's been great.
That's great. Good for y'all.
Excuse me, Robert. One of the questions that was proposed, are the students still required to complete work experience for ICAP?
Great question. We've got, we're going to do our dead level best to start. We've got career counselors that are developing a survey and information on that we're going to push out to our kids via website. We're not going to hit all of our students, but we're going to hit quite a few of them. And so we're working on that right now. And as far as the grades and the assignments and that type of thing, one of the things that we were most focused on with this distance learning was, we call it the 4 R's, which is review, reinforce, remediate, and recover. And so our teachers are expected to go back, and students are expected to go back and look at assignments that they've either missed or can make up. If they've got low grades on assignments, teachers are giving them the opportunity to redo those. And so again, review, reinforce, remediate, and recover are the things that we're most focused on. As I said earlier, our goal is for our students to finish strong. And I don't want to call the work that they're going to be doing extra credit, but it's like extra credit. And so the assignments that are given are going to be things that will hopefully help improve our students' grades as they finish this school year.
Wonderful. Maggie and Hope, I see you both unmuted yourselves. These, of course, are parents that love to talk. So I wanted to make sure that they got the opportunity to say something. Tag.
Go ahead. One of the things I noticed as far as a partnership between these kids at home and the library system is my boys are obsessed with the videos of stories that you can access through the digital things like Hoopla and Canopy. And that is probably something, especially with being able to get library cards online. I know that that's been a big help to us because they're not quite readers. Being at the end of kindergarten, they are, but they aren't. And so we've been using that a lot with them just to kind of fill some gaps of stories. You know, they're not being read to as much because I'm working from home too. So I think that that's something that has been great to see that partnership be able to kind of link up, that we can use both of those resources. But the packets are phenomenal. The teachers have done an amazing job, as far as I know, from Southgate at least, of really staying in contact. So
most of the packet designs were especially for our early childhood folks. Our curriculum coordinators and our dean of academics helped put all of that together, and of course Michelle McNear was a part of that too. So the packets across the district are very similar. There was some question in regards to our delivery methods early on, as I mentioned, the porch side. Some of the school districts across the metro did things a little bit differently than we did, and they had parents pick those up during meal times and that type of thing. One of the reasons why we did not do that is we have over 3,000 students that are on an IEP or a 504, and so their packets looked very different. And so it was not just a grab and go packet. There was a lot of time and a lot of just a lot of time that went into those packets. And those of you that are not familiar with an IEP, those are our students that are that fall under the special education category. And so their packets look very different than our students that are not on an IEP. So that was another hurdle that we came up with. The grab and go packets was not going to work here, and I'm not saying it's not working for anybody else, but I have to say that our packets are meaningful, and I don't know what the other packets look like in other school districts, but ours are meaningful and they're tailored to meet the individual needs of our students.
Maggie, did you want to say anything about your lovely sixth grader?
She was obviously very upset and about not being able to go back, and so it's been an interesting process. Also having to be one of the people that still has to come to work every day and give her a little bit of accountability while letting her still deal with everything. But I think it probably comes down to the schools, but we still have like library books from the school. Are those things that the information will come down from the schools to get those things back and then get our things from the school to us?
Great question. One of the things that we're trying to wrap our minds around what that will look like sometime mid-May to end of May. We've got students all over the district that have class pictures that need to be picked up. Yearbooks need to be picked up once those come in. Obviously, there's supplies. We've got secondary students, athletics, that need to clear out their lockers. They have uniforms that need to be turned in. We've got band students that have rented equipment still in their lockers and or the band room. So all of that being said, my hope is that if this starts to, the COVID business starts to decline and we're able to get back in our buildings, if we can do it 1st of May, that would be great. If it's middle of May, but eventually we will have to allow access into the building. I don't know how that's going to look based on, as I said earlier, all this stuff changes on a daily basis, but there will be access to our buildings eventually so that we can get the library books and students can get all the things that they had purchased or paid for and that type of thing. That's a great question. I probably should have had that in my notes to discuss with you guys at the beginning.
We also need to do a little shout out to the Moore Public School Foundation for the assistance that they gave to the school in regards to getting those packets put together.
They a little shout out, needs a huge shout out. They voted, and I think it was unanimous, and I'll let Clayton weigh in on that, but they actually funded the entire project for our packets. That was the paper, the ink, and that type of thing. So Obviously, budget cuts, we're going to be focused on that, and there's a good chance that we could potentially see a budget cut this year. There's no telling what next year will bring, but we're hyper focused on that as well. But absolutely, the foundation did a great work for us on that deal.
Happy to do it.
Thank you. Hey, I had a real quick question in regards to library, Chris or Aiden. If we put information out to our teachers, can you, is it a particular website that they can go to find out the information of the hours, the call in, the library cards, the resources? What's a good website?
So the pioneerlibrarysystem.org, just the main library's website, has a lot of that information on it. There is also a team that is working on an informational piece to share with all of the superintendents across our districts, because we cover 3 counties. But yeah, there's information on the pioneerlibrarysystem.org about the fact that, you know, we are waiving all fines. There are no fines accruing. We're not people are encouraged to keep their books with them. You know, everyone's card has been automatically renewed. If it was going to expire this year, it has been extended for an extra year, so people don't need to worry about that. If they're nervous about maybe I have a fine or a fee or something, we encourage you to call or chat, submit a chat, because we are more than happy to waive those fines and fees if you had any traditional books checked out. So we don't want that to be a barrier to anyone to be able to access those digital resources.
Okay, we'll put something out to our teachers later this week, and if y'all do get some resources together, if you guys will send that to me, we'll get that out too.
Great, thank you so much.
You bet.
Yeah, and we do have a meeting coming up on Friday with some of your folks. So Friday afternoon at 2, we'll make sure we have all that ready in some kind of formalized way for you, so they can all have it at their disposal. They can get it to you or vice versa. We'll be ready to go.
Perfect. Thank you.
That's awesome. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
Let's see, what do we have here? Oh, well, I don't know what I just sent everyone, so I apologize. This is what I'm trying to listen and send stuff. And so don't come to the meeting that we're already in. Just sent that out to everyone. So they've got some additional information, and what we'll do is we'll ask Chris to forward that to us as well, and we'll send that out to the membership so that they can have that. It'll work whether they are already homeschool parents or more public school parents, or go to one of our private schools in the area. So I don't know if anybody else has any questions, but my children do not go to more public schools, and probably about every day I regret that decision, because more public schools is probably, I may be a little partial, it's probably one of the best public schools out there. 24,000 students is quite the undertaking, 24,000 plus. But they do it with grace, and we can't say that we're not blessed to have them in. I'm like a big ball baby right now. I'm tired of being in my house. And so these parades that I keep seeing on social media are just fantastic. And the impact that they are having on the kids and the parents is amazing. So if anybody does have any questions last minute, we'll get those banged out. Otherwise, we're going to call it a day. We do have another Zoom meeting on Friday with the fabulous Mark McBride up in the corner. Give us another update of how things are going at the state, where we are. And it's not coming from the news media, it's coming from our state representative. So it's always valuable information. That information is available to you on our website to register and participate. We are going to try to continue to do these on a regular basis. So keep an eye on.
I gotta go. Thanks, Kim.
Thank you, Mark. So other than that, anybody else have any one last minute? Nope.
I've got one last thing. When Mark left, I just saw another screen pop up, and I just saw one of my bosses sitting there. Amy Reeves is on the line. He's one of our board members. Thanks for being here.
Kathy, do you have any last words?
No, thank you for getting this all together. You know, it takes a village, and we're lucky enough to have one in all that we do. And we thank you for participating on this, because it's a lot of effort to try to get all these together. And we want to answer or be there for anybody that we need to be there for. So we do appreciate everybody for participating on this.
Okay.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Robert.
The sun is out. Walk around your house 5 or 6 times. Practice social distancing, purchase gift cards, order takeout, and be safe. Everyone have a great day.
See y'all.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.